Hello and welcome to the fifth episode of IIM Ke Baad with Vix, Mix, and Chow. Today we have a packed agenda. We've got three areas that we definitely want to chat through within ourselves, and what we'll also pepper that with is a lot of banter. But the areas we want to cover are the areas that which we've been following but never had a chance to directly discuss. Number one is CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, which happened in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and which was great from a viewpoint of what's coming next for the consumer, for you and me. Number two is we started our episode one with the biggest stories of 2023. So it is high time that we make our predictions for 2024, and then we will hopefully in a few months see how that's going, and at the end of the year do a full tot up. And number three, what I would term as the biggest story of this week, and that is the launch of the Ram Temple, the pratishtha in Ayodhya. And we'll go through all these three. Of course, that's not all that we'll discuss. We'll have a lot of other things to discuss and chat through. But let's kick off. Vix and Chow, who wants to go first? What was the biggest innovation, something that you want to use that you saw from the CES?
Sure, Mix. I'll go. So I remember being 12 years old and looking at there used to be a show in Delhi for some IT show in Delhi, at Pragati Maidan, and I used to be very excited. And then over the last 20 years, I realized that the products that get released in these shows, they seldom make it to the market. So these shows are a lot about marketing, a lot about branding, and a lot of these products, they don't make it to the market. So whenever I see shows like the CES nowadays, I try to find products that I feel confident that will make it to the market. I don't, like, for example, Samsung released a TV which is just plain glass. So you can put it in your living room and it's glass, or you can watch it in TV. For me, that product, I don't think it will ever make it to the market. It's just a bunch of branding exercise. So I'm not excited about that. But there were some things that I saw at CES this year that I think will make it to the market and things that I'm excited about. And the first one of them is self-driving. I have to tell you this, like Tesla just released FSD 12. They call it the full self-driving version 12. And I've been driving around Palo Alto finally without touching the wheel. And it's spooky, it's good, and it tells you about the future that we will have soon. Now, how soon will that be?
So, Vix, is that allowed and then in Palo Alto, in California, full self driving?
Yeah, so now let me tell you a secret. You're supposed to put your hands on the wheel, but the way they detect it is that there's a scroll wheel on your this. So, and on the scroll wheel, you can just, like, every 1 minute I do up and down, and after 1 minute up and down, like it's like literally the volume button up and down. Like that's how they're detecting if my hands are on the
Right.
wheel or not. And as long as I'm doing that, and I think they're doing it for regulatory reasons, but what is happening is that as a consumer, I'm starting to get confident that I can let it drive me. I'm starting to, I'm just starting to be more confident in how it's driving. Another thing that I've realized over the last 4 to 6 years of existence in this world is the remaining 10% is the hardest. To do any enterprise, you can cover the first 90% fast enough, and then you have 10% remaining, right? Out of that 10, again, you can get to 9 very fast, but that 1 remains. And out of that 1, you can get to 0.9 very fast, and then the 0.1 remains. And out of that 0.1, you can get to 0.09 very fast, but the 0.01 remains. So I think self-driving depicts this very well, that I think we are at 99% today. And it's that last 1% that will be very difficult. But I'm very excited about self-driving.
And what do you
I'm
think?
very
Which part
excited.
of that? Which part of that is the last 1%? What has not been done?
Sure. I was thinking about this mix, and I don't know how many of our viewers know about this philosophical question called the trolley problem. Say, for example, you're driving a car and you're put in a situation where there is a pregnant woman standing right in front of you. She came out of nowhere, okay? And you're driving at 70 miles an hour and you're going to hit her, you're going to kill her, and you're going to kill the child. But then you can also swerve, right? You can swerve. It was her mistake. She came out of the blue. She's trying to cross the highway, or she's trying to cross the road when it's green light. So you can hit her and kill her because there is no other way for you. But you can swerve and you can kill this old man. He's 80 years old. He's lived a good life. He doesn't have a newborn in his belly, but it wasn't his mistake. He's just standing on the sidewalk. So you have a choice to make. Either you can swerve and kill this old man, or you can drive straight the way you were driving and kill this pregnant woman. What happens with humans is that we see the world slow. For us, we don't have to make these choices. For us, we make a choice and it's so fast that the society is willing to live. Either we kill the old woman or we kill the pregnant woman. But for computers, because they see the world, for them, a second is eternity. They see a second in 60 frames, they see 60 pictures, and now they have to decide if they kill this pregnant woman or the old man. And how do you make these choices? And I'll encourage my viewers to think what choice they will make. And it's hard for software to make these choices, right? So I think the 1% that remains is coming up with how you're going to make these ethical choices, which humans don't actually even make. Like we make them very instinctually, right? Like I will make that choice. If you give me 10 such circumstances, 5 times I might kill the pregnant woman, 5 times I might kill the old man. But for a software, it has to be a choice that's written into the software. Do you use the utilitarian principle where you say there's more utility to this pregnant woman surviving with a child, and hence you decide not to kill her and swerve and kill the old man? Or do you use the principle of least culpability? Like, I am going to do the least culpable thing. Is the pregnant woman's fault and she should die, right? So I think choices like this are difficult for the software to make. And as a society, we have to make those choices. And we are getting very close, spookily close. And self-driving technology is something that will make its way into the real world. I saw some launches at the CES by trucking companies, which are saying that they'll drive on long highways trucks which are with self-driving capabilities. And I have friends in America who drive a truck 40, 50 hours a week, and it's a brutal job. You're away from your family most of the time. You're sleeping in the truck, and I don't think we humans should be doing that job. Now, obviously, that brings up a lot of societal considerations about who should be doing this job if not humans. What will happen to these truck drivers when they don't have a job? But beyond the societal considerations, I think the human experience is to be enjoyed. It's not to sit in a truck and drive it for 50 hours a week. So I'm very excited about self-driving technology, and I don't think that 2024 is the year when suddenly everything goes self-driving, but I think we are inching closer to that last 1%, and that's what I'm excited about. Mix,
So
what's
I
the
have, I
topic?
have one, I
Go,
have
go
one
ahead, Chao.
question on the point that you started about the problem. That's kind of an ethical dilemma which a lot of these technologies need to solve for. So my question to you is, what are you seeing as a trend? I mean, is there a kind of ethics panel which is helping solve these? Is it at a company level or at a state or the federal government level? Some guidelines are coming out in this. Who is really taking the lead on what the decisions should be? Or do you think that will emerge after certain solutions have been brought to market?
Yeah, no, I have not seen any industry-wide effort to come up with some solutions. What I am
But there's no
seeing
right or
by
wrong answer there, right? It's
Yeah, no,
finally
there
somebody's
is
point
a
of view.
yeah, yeah. I don't think there's any right or wrong answer. But when I have a coffee with my friends working on self-driving technology in Palo Alto, uh, what I hear from them is that the society seems to be more comfortable with least culpability paradigm. So the society seems to be more comfortable with the old man on the side of the road just taking his afternoon stroll is the least culpable in this scenario. So even though the self-driving car can make that decision, can actually make that calculation that when it comes to the theory of utility maximization, is better to kill this old man and save this pregnant woman. But society seems to be more comfortable with the least culpable theory that this old man, he the self-driving car should not kill him and should rather kill the pregnant woman. And the thing is that these calculations can be made very difficult to make. For example, instead of the pregnant woman, what if it's a nuclear bomb, which suddenly happens to be in the center of the road because, say, there's a truck carrying a nuclear bomb. I'm just making up this example. And now the self-driving car, because 1 second for the computer can do trillions of calculations. It's not like our human brains anymore, which can do two or three calculations in a second. Can do trillions of calculations, and it is a choice to make. Does it run into the nuclear bomb and destroy half of the city, or does it kill this old man, right? And choices like this, which are implicit for human beings, which when I am driving, I don't even make those many calculations to decide. Something will happen and it would be left to a coin toss. But for self driving tech, it would be a choice that the self driving car would make, and the society will have to grapple with it. Does that answer your question, Chow?
Yes, yes. And I have one again follow-up question here. So you see a lot of vehicles. One of the kind of USPs that they at least sell for is that okay, I can go from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds or 3 seconds or 4 seconds or whatever. Why don't you see the same thing applying on the braking side of the vehicles as well? That I can stop from 60 to 0 in 2 seconds.
No, I think it's about marketing to men. Men get excited by how fast I can go in 0 to 60 in how many seconds, right? So I think this is just what sells in the market. So I think the engineering team might be spending a lot of time to make sure that these vehicles can brake fast enough. But I think that's more of what sells to humans.
So when I joined London Business School in 2008, we had the first week, which was almost like an orientation program. It had some classes, and one of the classes which everyone had to do compulsorily was called business ethics, the start of the business ethics course. One of the case studies back in 2008 was identical or nearly the same as this trolley problem, ethics problem that you said. So every time I think about self-driving cars, my brain goes back to 15 years ago, my first week at LBS, where we were discussing a whole 1 hour in a class of 50 or something, 60 of us about the old man, the lady with the kid. And of course, we didn't reach any solution, as you would expect. The main takeaway from that class was it isn't an easy answer, and everyone has a different answer and a different logic. And to me, if I were to then codify, I don't think whatever society feels right about this is not something that can be put as an algorithm into a car, into a self-driving car. It cannot. And if we wait for self-driving cars uh, to be made legal until we solve this problem, then I think the answer will be never.
Sure.
I'll give you. I had a few favorites, and I'm finding it difficult to choose which one would be my top choice. But I'll go with my increasing age. I think I'm starting to get some near vision, as in I can read well, and which is why what caught my eye, pun unintended, what caught my eye was a company which is making, which you can press some buttons and you can change what power you have, what prescription you have, and you can keep changing it until you get what you really need. The good thing about this is that you can adjust for both nearsightedness and farsightedness. It's a company called Vision, but an X instead of an S. So Vision. I found on the web. I found a video which was slightly dark, but you don't need to listen to
これからイクシオン01の初期設定
understand what they're saying. So
Yeah, I don't understand Japanese, so
can both of you see this all right?
Yeah.
yes, the subtitles speak
No, no,
for
no.
themselves.
Can you see the glasses and how they're adjusting it? It's a very my feeling was before. It's not something which is super high tech, at least by the look and feel of it. I did try to go on their website, but most of the things aren't translated into English. Haven't really gone. So that is my best, most usable technology for me.
Makes, if I need to buy jeans, right?
Yeah,
My waist size I think is 34. Why would I buy a jeans that I can have 30, 32,
yes,
34, 36, or 38? I'll just go buy jeans which are
yeah.
34.
So I think the use case is slightly different than changing power. So it's basically being able to focus, zoom in, zoom out uh, from your glasses itself. It's like bringing the power of binoculars into
Okay.
your
Okay.
glasses.
This with the AR glasses that Meta has come out with and others. I think that's where all these things start getting more integrated.
But makes for me that's this is a dud. I
Mm.
never see myself. I don't see myself.
From a very personal preference of uh, the, of thinking about having some reading glasses, but my glasses can't transform itself in a with the press of a couple of buttons. And I thought, okay, this is what I want as my next gadget.
Yes, I want to share something with you guys. Sometimes when I'm holding my phone, I will have to actually take it away from my eyes to be able to read it. As I'm
Yeah.
getting older in my mid 40s, I can't read things that are very close to my eyes. So I didn't know this, but my friend was telling me that he got LASIK done. And once you get LASIK, it can actually cure this
Mhm.
uh, problem that comes in our mid 40s, where sometimes like it's embarrassing. I'm like
Mm.
taking the phone away to read it. So I really
That's
like
not,
your yard, Bix. Is that your is what I'm seeing behind your windows? Is that your yard?
It's except that we don't call it a yard, we call it a garden out here.
Okay,
Yeah. Which reminds me. Here's the thing. Do you know there is this whole metric versus imperial units thing,
sure.
which I got
Yeah.
yes.
reminded in the last episode. You were talking about Celsius, and here I was
Yes.
feeling कि ये क्या है विक्स, ये कैलिफोर्निया में रहता है, कहाँ पे रहता है, ये सेल्सियस में क्यों बात कर रहा है, ये फ़ारेनहाइट में सारे ये अमेरिका में बात
Fahrenheit का
करते हैं,
आदमी है.
नहीं
which
नहीं
no
नहीं.
one except for
अरे
them
यार,
understands.
हाँ नहीं.
No one except
Fahrenheit.
for Americans understand what is this Fahrenheit thing.
या नो फ़ारेनहाइट नेवर मेक्स सेंस फॉर मी बिकॉज मैं इंडिया में बड़ा हुआ हूँ
Hmm.
और ज़ीरो इज़ लाइक बहुत ठंड है और माइनस तो बहुत ज़्यादा ही ठंड है. पर 32 डिग्री फ़ारेनहाइट ज़ीरो है. अगर 5 डिग्री फ़ारेनहाइट 6 डिग्री फ़ारेनहाइट में बहुत ठंड है, सो इट डजंट मेक लॉजिकल सेंस टू मी. -9 -10 बहुत ठंड है, दैट मेक्स मोर सेंस.
Mind is not tuned that way.
Yeah,
No, it took me also a while to get into using Fahrenheit, but I never got comfortable with it all
yeah,
the years I
yeah.
was in Jersey.
No, actually, when my friends tell me something in Fahrenheit, I tell them, "Ki yaar, let me convert it. How much it's in Celsius to understand what's happening here."
I was saying a couple of years ago there was this reignited debate in the UK about whether we should move back to imperial units. So so UK is mostly metric, and I say mostly, and I'll come to that in a bit. But the then prime minister, he given that he had become and he had supported the Brexit vote, and that was and won a huge majority, he said, okay, now that we have left Europe, which was the reason why we largely moved to metric, we have to move back to imperial. And that created a debate. I suspect it was more to as a just diversionary tactics in politics because there were other issues brewing. So it's like, okay, let's start a completely irrelevant debate. And a lot of people started supporting, oh, yes, we'll go back to imperial. But that's when I started thinking about what happens in the UK. And for every unit, it depends on what you're measuring, whether it's imperial or metric. It's not like UK is purely metric. Yes, for most things, temperature is Celsius. But if you're driving, you'll either do miles per gallon or miles per liter, but you will not do kilometers,
Acha,
right?
I thought it was
Except
kilometers
if
in
you're
the UK.
running, it is kilometers. But in cars, when you're driving and on the signs, on the road signs, everything is miles,
Oh, I didn't know that.
right?
Okay.
But when you're because largely it is metric, except for that exception. Uh, the way it works is if you're running, you talk to each other. You said, okay, I did 3 kilometers. If you're cycling, you say, I did 10 kilometers. But when you're driving a car and you're talking about the mileage or the distance, then it is, okay, that's 200 miles. Then there's this
Oh,
other
that's
thing.
very interesting.
What's metric versus imperial in liquids, for instance?
Yeah,
If you're
liquids is
buying
quite strange. Yeah, yeah, good.
if you're buying fuel, it is always liters. So petrol, diesel, everything is liters. If you're asking for beer, it is in pint. And just to be clear, a pint in UK is 568 ml. So a bit more than half a liter. If you're buying milk, it is in pints. On in the shop, of course, they will write, oh, this is 2.2 liter or something like that. But the main thing is 1 pint, 2 pint, and 4 pint. But nowadays, you have vegan milk. Every time you buy vegan milk, almond milk, this and that, that's in liters. That's not in pints. So there are
That's kind
so
of
many
confusing.
exceptions. It is absolutely confusing, except that you just learn to live with it. And you go for a beer, of
Yeah,
course, you're not going to say, can I have 568 ml of beer? You say, I'll have a pint of beer. But
yeah. At
America,
least
everything
here,
is
everything. Yeah,
imperial,
everything
Yeah,
right?
is miles. Yeah, yeah. We
yes,
don't
fairly
go back and
standardized.
forth. Yeah.
Yeah. In India, again, everything is standardized. All liquids are in liters or milliliters, irrespective of whether it's beer or milk or whatever it is. So no confusion there.
Chow, what is your CES? What is the your best startup which you think the technology you would end up using the most?
So I think one of the things which I found very interesting is the EVI ring. I don't know how it's pronounced. It's EVIE. It's a smart device kind of a ring for women, and I believe you'll soon start getting something for men as well. It's just bringing the smartwatch form factor into a ring. So it tracks all your health metrics. For women, it tracks your additional menstrual cycle and everything, but your heart rate, your oxygen levels, and so on. It's just a very unobtrusive thing. You can put it on your finger. It brought the entire thing to a much smaller form factor. I have been trying to get myself to use a smartwatch, but I stopped using a wristwatch many years ago when mobile phones came about. And even though I got smartwatches, it's just if you don't wear them, they are not useful. So this is something which I believe will catch on soon. One of the other things which I found very interesting, and I think that technology has been around for a while, is a motion pillow. So what it really does is it's an AI powered pillow which kind of adjusts the levels depending on whether you have started snoring. It will move you around, change your uh, airway intake accordingly so that you get a more comfortable sleep. I mean, there's sleep apnea and things have been around as a problem statement for a long time, but having the pillow also artificially adjusting to solve that is a fairly good innovation, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting innovation, the sleep pillow. When it comes to the ring, uh, what I can't wear a smartwatch because I spend most of my day on the computer and typing, and I just don't want those extra grams on my wrist. You know, I read somewhere that in one day, like if you use your fingers to type the whole day, emails, software programming, and so on, your fingers walk like 2 miles in a day. Like it's literally like ऐसे ऐसे करके walk करके ना 2 माइल हम चल के चले जाते हैं. तो वो 2 माइल एक्स्ट्रा थोड़ा सा भी वेट रिस्ट पे मुझे अच्छा नहीं लगता है. तो एंड now instead of the wrist, you're putting that weight on my finger.
Vix, is
Yeah,
that
Vix,
your
what were you
concept
saying?
of going to the gym? Of typing?
Yes, that is my concept of
Is,
going to the gym.
is that the gym for the fingers? Is that for the
Yeah,
weight
that's the
loss?
gym.
Full body,
Yeah,
full body की जगह fingers are
yeah,
exercising.
yeah. Your fingers
But it's
exercise.
interesting. I never looked at it that way. How many miles or miles
Yeah,
equivalent the fingers are walking?
yeah, yeah. Don't quote me on the number. Instead of 2 miles, it might
Yeah,
be 3 miles. But it was a crazy number, like the number, the amount of typing we end up doing in a day. So I don't want any extra weight on my fingers or my wrist. I've never gotten used to a smartwatch. What about you, Mix? Do you wear a smartwatch?
I haven't done that level of typing now. Actually, I have just got my smartwatch delivered uh, an hour ago. I have not even opened
Okay.
it, and the reason this is going to be my first smartwatch, and it is only a trial. The reason I have so far desisted, despite being for the last nearly 10 years, just seeing people coming up with these devices, pre-seed and seed investments in
Yeah.
healthcare. That's all you see, all devices, whether it's rings and things like that. But I, like Chow, about 2 decades ago, I'd stopped wearing a watch. And I think the change came when a few years after we got mobile phones, I stopped having a need for a watch and having an extra, whether it's a weight or especially at that time, I used to be in sales in India. And there was a time I was heading rural marketing for a company back then, and half the time I was in villages and in the scorching heat. And wearing a watch when it's 35 or 40 degrees Celsius, just so I may add, uh, not Fahrenheit. Wearing a watch becomes too sticky, prickly, and that's when I started or stopped wearing a watch. So to me,
Okay.
getting into a smartwatch thing took so many years, and that only right now. And I'll be honest, I just ordered one from what's it called, AliExpress, which is which is a
Yeah.
Chinese thing. So I'm going to try it out. It's something which is under 50 pounds, and if I end up wearing, my biggest hesitation is that I may still not wear. Like Chow is saying, if you don't wear, then what's the point? Actually, why don't I get my packet? I don't know. Since we were discussing that topic, shall we do the bubble opening? today itself with the same topic.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so here's
Hydroponic
my
startup. Acha.
Mm,
yeah. Let's
AliExpress.
go on to
Ali.
the unwrapping first.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm also now curious because there are a lot of things I might have to. I don't know how do I. Do you need to see the packet? Is that how unwrapping
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
unboxing works
You
all the
need to
time?
move the camera
You
so
need
we
to
can see
focus
your
the camera
desk.
on the bracket.
Okay, so here's a
Yeah.
packet. This has just come from
Yeah.
somewhere in China.
China.
It's
Yeah.
well, see, I directly ordered from China. Otherwise, everything I order from the local manufacturer, anyways, has come from China, anyways. So, big deal. You cut out 3 layers of the middleman. So, it's come directly from China. It has a lot of things. I might have to edit out some of those things in case it doesn't work well.
Sure.
Okay.
So, let's see what all things I ordered from AliExpress and the way it works. In case anyone has not ordered from AliExpress, is everything is like £2, £5. My watch, which is like maybe £40 or something like that, is probably the most expensive thing. But anything I get for £5 or £10 out here on AliExpress is £2. So I end up buying things that I probably will never use or see in my life after unboxing. So there might be things like that. So here it is.
It's like going to the dollar store, right?
There. See,
You go
Yeah.
there
I don't
to
know why.
and you pick up
I don't know
knickknacks
why
which
I ordered this, but I've suddenly ordered a desktop phone holder, which I now realize I have. I
Mix,
don't
we
need
cannot
this.
see your video anymore. I don't know what happened.
makes your video disappear.
Even Chow's video disappeared. I think
Okay,
Mix
that is
ended
the
up
wrong
clicking
time for my
something.
video. Yeah, that is possible. Oh, I think I
Yeah, yeah. Now it's
made you
better.
as
Yeah.
a solo. So here's
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah. Desktop phone
So I
holder
ordered
you won't
this.
ever use.
This is what came out of the. It's a desktop phone holder. It was probably
And you
five
decided to get a
pounds.
green color.
I don't need it. I didn't need it. Maybe I mean I yeah. Maybe I thought I needed it after seeing £5. Uh,
I can
USB
understand.
oh
cable.
yes, this I definitely needed. This is a USB hub, high speed USB
Yeah.
hub with like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
seven USBs.
Yeah.
Of course, you know why I need
Yeah.
it, but yeah, with all these, the mic here, the light there, and so on, and possibly other things might get added. So I thought, nice time to get this hub.
And how many
What
days
else is there?
did it take for these things to arrive, Mix?
There's some kitchen wrapper thing. Sorry,
How many days did it take for the AliExpress packet to arrive?
sorry you. So this one is probably just a week and a half.
Okay.
Most of these things, if I had ordered, say one at a time or two at a time, they would take 30 days or 50 days,
Okay.
right? But because of the big thing which I ordered, because that cleared a particular minimum value, then everything
Okay.
falls into the express delivery bracket,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And this is how I
Okay.
ended up ordering. Is like everything that all those £2, £3 things that I had saved in my watch list and wish list. Suddenly, because everything was coming quickly, I ended up ordering a lot more things than I needed. I have like five mouse or mice out here.
So
I
why are
don't know.
you
I've
ordering
got
one
one more.
more?
I
But
have a
why?
feeling. I don't know why, but I have a feeling that because of the color, I ended up ordering one which matches.
Okay.
But that's the only possible excuse because, or maybe I had it in my watch list. And bear in mind, I can go through the invoice, but most of these things, like including this mouse, is probably £2, right? So you see, okay, £2 are chal theek hai, yaar, le lo, color matching hai, अच्छा होगा. Right. Okay, this is the most embarrassing thing, and after saying that, I don't know why I got anything of these. This is I absolutely know that I ordered. but I don't know where I'm going to use it. So it's
Hot
like
water
those
bottle?
pouches which you
Oh, those
can.
pouches. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, no, no. It's the pouch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
can wear this like
Uh,
this. Of course, I need to increase the
uh,
size and put your mobile phone and things like that. So maybe
yeah.
it'll be
Uh,
useful for when you travel. So again,
Yeah,
one of those
travel
things
thing.
that I ordered. All of these things are, yeah, because
That's
of
the watch.
this was getting me like immediate free delivery on everything.
yeah.
Yeah. So the way this works is, have any of you ordered from AliExpress?
I ordered very long back some similar junk items.
So most of the things, so you'll get stuff which is £1, delivery fee £3. So I kept thinking, okay, £1 में चलेगा, but £4 में नहीं चलेगा, that kind of thing. So I kept putting things in my wish list and watch list. And now because of this watch which I ordered, because of this one watch, I got zero delivery fee on all of those, and suddenly it made sense even if I don't need them.
Yeah.
So let's see what is inside that. If you see, I think it's only one, but they've made two pictures, and it
Two watch
is
faces. Yeah. Different
Khilji.
watch faces.
Oh,
Yeah.
Xiaomi. That's a big brand now, right?
Yeah, Xiaomi is a big brand.
Yeah. Okay. So we're nearly there. My first smartwatch, and there it is.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
I'll probably be wearing it next time,
Is
right?
does Xiaomi have good apps for your phone to
But
sync
actually,
with
if
the
you
watch
see,
and all
there's
that?
nothing. I mean, they made it so modular. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
so
There are good apps
because
to
I
sync
got,
it with it.
yeah, both my kids have Xiaomi, so I thought,
Okay.
okay, I can also order the same thing, and then it'll be the same app because I've used those apps, and you can keep changing the watch faces. But if you see this, they've made it so modular, and I've seen this with my kids' watches also. There's a strap, and you can keep changing the strap, and then you can do whatever. Probably just clip it on the strap, and there you've got a watch. All you need is a charging
Nice.
wire,
So
and that's
mix.
it.
Let's put it. Yeah. Let's put it on your wrist. मिक्स पहन के भी दिखा दो कैसा लग रहा
Let's
है.
see. I need to open the packet. Huh. I'm just trying to. I need to clip it on. I just don't know how to clip it on.
ये छोटा सा पिन होगा उसके उसको दबा के अटकेगा.
There you go. Works well. ऑन करने के लिए चार्ज करना पड़ेगा, but I can just show you
नहीं, थोड़ा प्री
how it
चार्ज
looks.
आता है
My
जैसा
first watch in
भी.
2 decades.
And mix. What all can it track? It can track your steps
How it
and what
looks. My
else?
first watch of any kind in 2 decades.
Very nice.
Very nice mix. And mix. What all can it track?
I just need to find out what all can it track. I think it can track pretty much everything. That it can track more things than I actually need to track. So you think what an Apple Watch can track? I think this can track pretty much all of that.
Oh wow.
Except the Apple Watch will be 300 pounds, and this is definitely under. It's probably closer to 40 than 50, but it's in that range.
But one thing I wonder is
See,
why
now I need
doesn't
to set it up.
AliExpress?
So it's
Yeah, 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 yeah. Why doesn't AliExpress set up a warehouse in London and
so it
start
just
shipping
came
from
on.
London?
So now here's the thing: have you heard about Temu?
Yes, I've heard about Temu. I see the ads
I
everywhere I
think
go on the
Temu
internet.
Apparently, it has the largest market share, like twice of Amazon in the US. They've only recently launched in the UK, and I think they're doing exactly what an AliExpress having London warehouse would. They're basically
Oh,
giving you
okay.
eBay type of within the week within the week delivery, not Amazon level,
Okay.
not same day,
Okay.
not next day, but they're giving within the
Okay.
week delivery. But it's all Chinese, and I suspect the company is similar to AliExpress. I wouldn't be surprised if it is AliExpress with a different brand name. But apparently, it's the largest market share in the US. That's what
Oh, really?
I heard someone saying.
So there's one interesting thing which is happening in India now. There is, I don't know if you're aware, but there's a concept of quick commerce which has picked up big time. So what quick commerce really is delivery within 30 minutes. So so groceries you can get delivered typically. So if we order groceries, something we need urgently, you can get it in between 4 to 10 minutes. You just order it, and the guy is at your door typically in around 7 minutes to my place. So what they have done, they have opened a lot of dark stores across the city and limited inventory, limited number of items, but a very strong delivery fleet. And quickly you can just whatever you want to order. I mean, when I say limited number, it's not like few hundred SKUs. It's still maybe about 3,000 plus SKUs that they carry. But you order and you can see that within a minute it is getting packed. Within 2 minutes, the guy has left the store with your delivery,
Nice.
and is at the door in about 7 minutes.
Wow. And what about the delivery charges?
So right now the delivery charges are largely being borne by the investors who have come into that. But the the interesting thing is they have been evolving. They have started putting kind of minimum order values now. So typically minimum order is about 300 rupees if you don't want to pay delivery fees, which is still okay. And it's very convenient. Like
Yeah.
if we are cooking something, we are out of an item, we just order it and it's there while the cooking is still going on.
So, Chow,
So
I'm very interested to know more about this. The reason being, some of these startups they have started in London also. Grocery
okay.
delivery, 30 minutes, 1 hour. They started with like same day, but then if you
Hmm.
want quicker, then you pay a bit. And I think in the US, I see California, New York, some of these hubs. Also, there are a few that have started in the last few years. And maybe the big spurt was COVID and lockdown, where home delivery caught up a lot.
Hmm.
So Uber's
Right.
launched a lot of these adjacent markets after Uber
Hmm.
Eats. Now, my question, and this was the thought I've always had when I hear about these grocery delivery in London, is कि मैं जब बच्चा था तब से हमें ग्रोसरी 30 मिनट्स में 15 मिनट्स में ग्रोसरी डिलीवरी हमारी होती थी। वो दुकान को फोन करते थे, साइकिल पे लड़का आके दे जाता था। राइट। नाउ आई डोंट थिंक
Right.
टू मच हैज चेंज ऑन दैट फ्रंट। साइकिल वाले लड़के अभी भी चलते हैं। So what is that
Hmm.
delta which all these branded VC funded grocery delivery chains are doing beyond consolidating that same thing of the market and wasting money with some corporate structure जो आपका लोकल लाला अपना साइकिल वाले लड़के को नहीं दे सकता?
No,
What's
it's
that
an
add on?
interesting point. So the interesting thing is the dynamics, at least in cities like Bangalore, for the local grocery store has changed a lot, right? So typically, like you see in places like Bombay and all, there will be one or two grocery shops who are like servicing a couple of apartments, that neighborhood, and they kind of know that area well. Yeah, in Bangalore, that's no longer the case. There are still these guys who deliver and so on. But what we have found, so we have a grocery store within the apartment, right? And if we order from there for delivery, it's like hardly 100 steps from the shop to the house, to the apartment. But that guy, you call him, he'll take down the order. Your order can come in 10 minutes, it can come in 45 minutes, it can come in 1 hour. Anything can happen depending on how many orders he has, right? He doesn't have a fleet of people. But these guys
Right.
have that USP that yes, you will get it in, and they will show while you are ordering that yes, if there is high demand, they'll say that there's high demand, you will get it in 25 minutes instead of 10 minutes or whatever. So the predictability level is very, very high.
Yeah,
With
I'm
our
very
local store,
skeptical about that. Every time I come, every time I go to Delhi, there is zero predictability level of when the Uber driver will come, and half of
yes.
them cancel the ride when they are like 5 minutes away because उनको कुछ और नया मिल जाता है.
Hmm.
So इसमें मतलब as these startups scale, how will they avoid that? That predictability is the easiest. I mean, if Uber cannot manage predictability in
No,
India,
no, but you have to
of
understand that Uber is an aggregator, right? These guys are employing these delivery folks, so that's one of
is
their
it?
biggest costs. Yeah,
Then
so they are not freelancer
I'm
delivery
then
people.
very curious कि इनका model कैसे चलता है if this is on an employment basis. Have to do productive hours.
Yes, so they are busy all the time. The order volumes are such, and if that neighborhood is not generating enough orders, they just shut down the dark store and stop that area. When the investment was good, they were looking to have about 400 stores in Bangalore, adding a store every day. But suddenly, when the money dried up, they said that no, we'll cut down on that growth at any cost plan and just focus on neighborhoods where we'll get traction.
I like to track this space and see how these they come up.
So,
I
so
have my doubts, but I could be
why
very
I
wrong.
raise this is in we now what we have started seeing one or two of these things. So they were earlier delivering groceries and FMCG products, right? But now they have also kind of opened up other things. You get electronics, clothes, and everything. What you order from Amazon, it will take 1 or 2 days to come. These guys will deliver it to you in 45 minutes. So it's kind of taking even the space which Amazon has been traditionally occupying for home delivery, moving that, bringing competition into that. So we'll see how that evolves.
I think
But yes,
so.
a lot of investor money
I
has
think
got
it's
pumped in.
worth keeping a track of. Yeah, it all depends on a logistical cost. Anyone who cracks
Yes,
logistics
correct.
can do that. And what's the cycle? What's the predictability of your ordering cycles that you can you use AI, which is the new buzzword, or some sort of algorithm to predict. Amazon has done so well in the last 25 years. They've grown to what they are today, mainly because of that algorithm working, and they were able to smartly stock up or stock down things and predict demand and price in, price out based on consumer understanding, which was again all algorithm led, which is
Yeah.
nowadays the algorithm is called AI. But yes, Vix, you were asking about Air Farm. Can you see this?
It's coming up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I muted it mainly because I mean it's best if I tell you. I mean this is more of their ad and the bandwidth is not great.
Mix, your bandwidth has suddenly reduced.
Yeah, my bandwidth. Can you hear me? And let me stop this. I think my bandwidth is challenged any which ways. Maybe we can do this separately some other time.
Or if you
Yeah, I'm
give
sorry
me the
about
video,
this.
maybe I can
I
play
don't know
the
what's
video.
happened to my. Yeah, shall I forward it? I'll just send you on WhatsApp. Maybe you can play the video.
Sure. I have actually delved in hydroponics myself,
So we can come to that.
so I can share
Yeah.
some interesting
So
experience.
this is aeroponics.
Okay.
This is aeroponics because it's you don't have to use water. So from
Sure.
soil, hydroponics move from soil to water plus nutrients.
Yes.
And aeroponics is saying, okay, I can take the water out from the air and you don't need to
Yeah.
provide me water.
Thus, the time needed for setup is
6 months. We are introducing Air Farm, a sustainable indoor farming solution for food security. Air Farm uses a precision-controlled aeroponic farming method, which mixes required nutrients with minimal water and delivers them as a fine mist directly to the roots. Air Farm has reduced water requirements, up to 90% compared to other smart farms. Moreover, a system that collects water from the air enables food production without water infrastructure.
Air farm can be installed in just half a day in any unused indoor space, allowing for immediate food production in response to food security concerns. Air farm can be easily controlled with a mobile app, and based on the collected growth data, we are developing the crop-specific AI platform. Air farm's 4-level structure boosts its productivity by 30 times compared to traditional farming. With direct oxygen supplied to the roots, the growth rate increases by 30% compared to regular hydroponics. Not only can we grow green vegetables, but also staple crops like potatoes, along with carrots, strawberries, and medical hemp. Air farm has reduced the system cost by 70% compared to similar models. It enables rapid food production in refugee camps, war zones, desertified areas, and disaster-stricken regions, making it an ideal solution for food security. Furthermore, it can be installed in urban areas, inside buildings, and within homes to quickly supply fresh vegetables and fruits. We make food art for the planet in all generations. Bloom the desert, goodbye.
Where is this company located, Mix?
I think it's
I
a
have two
Korean
questions.
company, if I'm getting
Okay.
this right.
Okay. And how much
Yeah.
traction do they have?
I think they are in the market.
Okay.
They are in Korea. I don't know about their global scalability, but they probably at CES in order to get that demand from Western countries.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So that was my thought. So there are two things. Like you were saying, hydroponics. I've been interested in hydroponics. I've not been fully convinced yet as an investor about the scalability versus the novelty only. And so this sounded interesting because it's in the same space. Now, just going back, why am I interested? Because one of the things that I do as a personal investor, as well as a fund investor, is sustainability, and
Yeah.
especially on food sustainability, which and one step before food is agricultural sustainability, and hydroponics has offered some answers to that whole puzzle of sustainability in agriculture. Uh, as I said, I'm not fully convinced. But the second reason that this caught my eye is last week with Saurabh Singh, when he mentioned with MMG, he
Yeah.
went to Saudi Arabia because the Saudi wanted to grow potatoes. And I was like, okay, maybe they could grow potatoes if they had more water in the air that went back in the soil.
Yeah.
Now I know potatoes don't always need as much water as some other plants like tomatoes, for instance, but it just struck me as MMG Saudi project that Saurabh Singh was doing
Yeah. Yeah.
versus um, aeroponics.
Yeah. I think it does have a lot of potential. I got into hydroponics because I figured that what does soil do? Soil does two or three different functions. One, it provides nutrients, right? It provides the moisture, and it also is a mechanism to hold the plant up, right? So those are three or four different things that soil is doing, and it's conveniently placed outside, so you get the sun. So can you replace some of the functions of soil with say a plastic container can provide the function of holding that plant. Instead of sunlight, you can have LEDs giving the light, and instead of the soil providing the nutrients, you can actually provide nutrients through flowing water. So me and a friend of mine, we did this project in Palo Alto where we went to Home Depot. We bought these water pipes. These are these round water pipes, right? Long ones. And we drilled holes in them every 2 feet. And once we drilled holes in them, we had water going in from this side and just flowing in this tube, right? And then we planted some things and we put nutrients in the water. And the plants actually grew better than what they grew in soil. And that told us that if you have such a simple structure where the soil is no longer doing the job of actually holding the plant, it's being now replaced with this plastic tube, just a 6-inch in diameter, just a circle plastic tube, very cheap PVC pipe, and with just holes drilled, you can put the plants in there, and then the water is flowing. The plants actually did much better. So the reason I did this experiment is because there was a company which was looking for funding, and I wanted to see if I should fund it. And they suggested we do this 2-week experiment, and we saw that the production in our backyard was better than expected. So I think there's a lot of potential in hydroponics and aeroponics in these fields.
No, totally. I think you've summarized it very well. There are those three things about soil. I've never tried it myself. I want to, but I've not tried it, partly because I need to set up that infrastructure.
Yeah.
But more importantly, the nutrients that go into the water, at least from what's currently available, the complete set for that I need, I don't get organic nutrients. And I think they are starting for many crop types, and I think we will get there. But most of the hydroponic nutrients or fertilizer, or you call them what you want, are very chemical, and I just
anything we can.
One of the reasons why
chemicals.
some of the things that I grow, I grow them myself. It is just so I don't have chemical in it. And the last thing, I mean, otherwise, what's the fun in it? You can grow anything with some chemical.
Yeah.
See, there's a big movement towards organic farming and all that with, as Nick said, less chemicals, right? So even in the aeroponics, you are still expecting the water to, which is being sprayed onto the roots directly, to have those nutrients. So, I mean, how different is it in terms of the chemical usage from hydroponics?
Yeah, I think once you, if you're not doing it in the soil, then you have to use chemicals, because I don't know of an organic way to transfer nutrients without using soil. So that's a very interesting question. And 20 years ago, I used to think that fertilizers and chemicals are okay. But as I've gotten older and I have seen effects on my own health and how my body is doing very differently than what my father's body did, and some of the other health issues I'm facing, I'm realizing that chemicals are bad. I think we humans are doing a giant experiment without realizing, without any, we're making our whole body chemistry change in 30, 40 years, something that got adapted over millions of years, right? So you do things for millions of years in a particular way, and for capitalism, you change things in 40 years. And I think I want to live a life more closer to how we have lived for millions of years,
I think so. I think that's one of the big reasons for the move towards organic. And the other domino that I think is we are in the early stages where this is going to fall is UPF. So ultra processing of foods.
Yeah.
So if you read the back panel of most of the foods you get in your supermarket, and I suspect it's
Yes.
more in America than at least in UK and Europe.
Yes.
As of now,
Yes.
I don't know about India because the level of packaged foods is still
Yes, sir.
thankfully
Yeah.
under control, but it's increasing a lot exponentially.
Yeah.
Now, if you see all the nitrates and the sulfides that go into
Yes.
your packaged food, that is
Yes.
scary. And it's only
That
more
is very
recently
scary.
that people are waking up to this. A lot of it has been done for preservation, for longer shelf lives. A
Sure.
lot of it
But
has
nobody
been
has
done over the
studied what it
years
does to the human body.
to
Like
reduce
you're
cost.
putting, yeah, yeah. Just imagine this, Megs. You are putting
Exactly.
preservatives in the food so it
So
doesn't
the
go bad on the shelf.
longitudinal studies are
So that it doesn't go bad in the shelf. But what is that food doing to my stomach and my gut bacteria? Nobody has studied that.
And I'll give you one example. This is purely personal experience. So ever since I was a kid, probably since I was 5 years old, I have been a milk drinker in the sense that my breakfast before going to school used to be one large glass of milk, and in the evening, one large glass of milk was a must have. That was my snack before dinner, and so on. And I've maintained that, of course, as I've grown older. It's not been two large glasses of milk. But it's still been regularly three times a week. I've had
Okay.
very recently in the last couple of years. I realized that if I maintain that, partly it is because of as you grow older, your digestion is not as much as well as it was before. But then I started looking into what am I getting as milk
Yeah.
out here, and then this is about the UK. The Indian milk is still, I think, what you get from Amul and all that is still relatively better, but it's still going in the same direction. It is completely homogenized, and if you I'm not even talking about UHT milk, which is ultra heat treated milk, which will have like a 3 week shelf life. As in, the milk doesn't go bad at room temperature for 3 weeks.
Oh my
Imagine
God.
what would have gone into that milk. That
Yeah, what would
milk
have gone into
stops
it?
going bad. That's ultra
Yeah.
heat treated, and yes, the heat is treating the milk that it's not going bad. That means it's killing all the bacteria because the bacteria
Yeah.
won't ever multiply.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so is there any benefit in having that milk?
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
first question. But even the non-UHT, the regular milk, what's called the regular milk out here, there's a word I came across called homogenization,
What does that
which
mean?
means that it is, or well, churned is the wrong word, but it is basically treated in a machine. It is homogenized, which means that all the cream and the milk are completely merged together.
Okay.
So nothing is taken out. Of course, some of the cream is taken out because then they sell it separately as cream, but everything is consistent. Remember, in India, we used to boil milk and then
Yeah.
drink it because without
Yeah.
boiling, which is like a semi-pasteurization
Yeah.
at home, you could fall sick if there's something in there. Out here, you
Yeah.
don't need to boil milk at all, and part of it is pasteurization, but a lot of it is also homogenization in the sense that when you boil it and if it cools down, can you believe it? There is no layer of cream that forms on the top when milk cools down.
Oh my God.
It is non-existent. It is like water. You boil water, you let it cool down. There is nothing. It's still the same.
So because they've taken
So
out
the
they've taken
milk,
out
when
all
it
the
boils and
cream
when
and
it
they're
cools,
selling it separately.
you can take out as much cream in without homogenization. It will still have something left.
Okay.
So out here, it still has, whether it's 4% fat milk or 2% or 1% fat, there is no cream that comes on top. You can do whatever you want, and that is the thing about homogenization. It is completely the cream and the fat and the milk are melded together. And to
Yeah.
me, the reason I'm saying that is it made me think: is there something changed in the milk then? I don't know. Maybe it's not the chemical structure, but there is something else that has changed, and my body is not getting what milk is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know
You
enough
know.
about it yet because there aren't too many too many public things available about the problems with homogenization. But I
Yeah.
think that is a huge, huge, huge bomb waiting to explode.
I completely agree, Mix. Look, I'm all for technology. I'm all for going to Mars, going to the moon. I'm all for self-driving cars. But we have to understand that a human body is as complicated as the universe. There's literally a universe inside the human body with trillions of cells. You don't experiment with that complicated of a system uh, so quickly without longitudinal studies. So I would like to do things the way they've been done for millions of years, and I don't like these quick science affecting such a complicated system that's our bodies.
In fact, some of the saying trends which are going on, at least in India, is even in terms of dietary habits. The primary recommendation now is eat what your grandparents used to eat because that's what
Yeah,
your body is designed for.
and also take as less medications as
Totally.
you can.
Yeah. No, I think we are all on the same plane out here. So on my part, I have reduced the refined oil part of my diet quite a lot and replaced it with desi ghee.
Very good,
Uh,
very good. I hear that that's a good choice. And
Yeah. We don't get refined oil anymore at our house. So the only place we use oil is mustard oil. Otherwise, everything we make in ghee. Some of the ghee we make at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I understand from my reading and that I personally follow is that we humans over millions of years did not get to eat 3 meals a day. We did not have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We humans ate because there was no fridge. We ate when we killed, and we got to eat once in 2 3 days, and we'd eat a lot, and then we'd fast for 2 3 days till we killed again. And so I am a big proponent of fasting often, and definitely trying to not eat 3 times a day. I think that's how our human bodies evolved, and I think
Yeah. Yeah.
eating 3 times a day is not natural for us.
You know,
No, no,
benefits of
that's
fasting
also
have
true. That's
started
also
getting
true.
studied now.
Yeah,
So such
Yeah.
scientific studies are being conducted now. You have this term called autophagy, which just suddenly
Yes.
become popular,
yes,
and it's something which kind of has been in existence for a long time, but it's just what fasting, longer term fasting helps you do.
from 2022 onwards, so it's been around 2 years now. I fast for 20 hours in a day, and I think that has had significant benefits to my health. So I eat only between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. And during that time, I do splurge. Like I'll have an ice cream, I'll have a Coke. Like I don't control what I eat during those 4 hours, but the rest 20 hours, I try to give my body a break.
So they don't eat anything else during that time?
No, I don't eat for the other 20 hours. It's just mainly tea. I warm up water and I'll put a tea bag in it, and that's what I'll drink. And those 20 hours is when those 4 hours is when I eat. Very, very significant positive impact. So, anybody listening to the show, if you can take one advice, try skipping breakfast to begin with. So, at least give your body 16 hours of rest. If you,
I think it depends. It depends. So the diet that has been working for me more over most of 2023 is I've been skipping dinner, or well, I've been having dinner, except that it's not at dinner time. I try not to eat anything after 6. And given that typically I'm awake till about 11, what that has done to my body, I have tried skipping breakfast, Vix, don't get me wrong. I tried that for a couple of years. That if I need to give my body a 16 to 18 hour break of a meal, breakfast was the easiest to skip. It didn't help me. And skipping this after post 6 p.m. meal has helped me in 2 ways. I'm having 2 meals or 2.5 meals, but they are like more like snacky meals rather than anything, and healthy snacks, not chocolate or ice cream. Uh, but if I don't eat at night, firstly, digestion has improved. So by the time one sleeps, anything that has been eaten is largely digested. Otherwise, you sleep on a full stomach. That's probably not best for the body. But secondly, this is unintended benefits of not eating after 6 p.m. is when I wake up, whether it's 5 or 6 in the morning. Firstly, I wake up thinking यार दबा के भूख लग रही है, इतनी जोर से भूख लग रही है कि दिमाग में कुछ नहीं आता. तो सबसे पहली चीज, सबसे सिंपल, आप कुछ कुक नहीं करते हो, आप किचन में जाके एक एप्पल खा लेते हो, क्योंकि इजी है, एप्पल या बनाना खा लिया. तो उससे एक मेरा फ्रूट डाइट, एंड द फर्स्ट थिंग इन द मॉर्निंग एक फ्रूट डाइट, और सबसे क्विकली और क्या होता है, एक गरम गरम चाय लो, फिर उसके बाद एक सिंपल सा एक बटर टोस्ट बना लो. So what's happening is I'm still having that 16 hour of a intermittent fasting, but it's at a time when my body is digesting the food, the evening food, as well as in the morning I'm starting with fruit because that's the most straightforward thing to eat.
Sure.
So वो दो तीन, that's why that is working for me now. Every person's own system is different. Do what works for you, and if you're feeling better,
No, there's this saying in diet, they say that you should have breakfast like a king, have lunch like a common man, and dinner like a pauper. So I think it's kind of aligned to what Mix was also saying.
yeah.
Yeah.
And normally, I think it's also a function of lifestyle.
Actually, when I was a kid, when I was a kid, my dad used to tell me that, and
Yeah.
I don't part. I'm quite in line with what Vix was saying. Is firstly, there are no 3 meals anymore, at least in my understanding. Secondly, that thing about breakfast like a king, it's like a heavy breakfast you're talking about.
Right.
So when I'm
Yes.
having fruit, like an apple, a banana, maybe a bit of cereal, I am not having a heavy breakfast, which is in line with whether it's an Indian breakfast कि दो तीन पराठे खा लिए, या फिर English breakfast कि उसमें sausage भी है, egg भी है, ये भी है. That is breakfast like a king. And the reason that became popular, if you look back into a couple of centuries history, is why has breakfast been touted as the most important meal of the day? It's because people used to do work in the fields, do hard labor.
Correct.
Now none of us is doing any hard labor. हम तो उठते हैं, पहले तो ऑफिस भी जाते थे, अभी तो घर पे कंप्यूटर के सामने बैठ जाते हैं. तो हम कर क्या रहे हैं, मतलब what where is that energy being expended?
Yeah. And if you don't
To eat
expend
like,
it,
whether it's a Western diet of a few sausages, exactly,
if you
या
don't
फिर वो
expend it, it
पंजाबी
will
style से
accumulate.
पराठे और मक्खन खा रहे हैं, या फिर even, and that's where that's the problem. In addition to the processed foods, in addition to all this stuff that we are putting in, it's also how much are we putting in the body, and does our body actually need any of that anymore, given that we are not doing that same physical work that we
No,
needed to.
true. In fact, if you begin regular exercising and all, one of the things which does get calculated is what is your calorie usage, and accordingly, you taper your diet to match that usage or have some degree of calorie deficit from there. But yes, if you're not moving around the city or anything, then you're not expending that energy.
Yeah, it's funny. I grew up in a poor home, and I always used to think कि जब बड़ा हो जाऊंगा बहुत पैसे कमाऊंगा बहुत खाऊंगा. बड़ा हो गया, पैसे भी कमा लिए पर अब खाना छूट गया. Okay, so let's take the IIM's perspective on Ayodhya. I don't think I haven't seen any of the IIM graduates or professors give their opinion on how Ayodhya will impact India. What's the what's the best case scenario for Ayodhya, Megs? Over to you.
I think Ayodhya will impact India, and I'm not even going on this whole religion and civilizational, which also has a positive. But economically, there are three ways that I see positives here. One is local economy. I think every other news channel has already covered this in the last few days. All the local economy that has been built in Ayodhya, the hotels that are coming to build. With an extreme case of even news channels were running, Amitabh Bachchan has bought a plot. Apparently, from what I hear, the land prices in Ayodhya are about four times compared to just 6 months ago. So that's the big thing. I mean, land prices are reflective about some economic improvement. Um, so that's one. So there is that thing which is the more straightforward case, in my opinion. But then I see that domino effect going further. And what's the second area that Ayodhya is leading to? There is that infrastructural thing. Of course, there's now the local airport, but then more flights are going in. But what about the overall economic effect of some people call it mandir tourism or religious tourism. I call it tourism. Now, whether it is national, there are people from within the country. I would love to go there because if it is that big, yeah, everyone goes to Hardwar, Varanasi, Vaishno Devi. Okay, there is one more. And guess what? This is like bigger than all of them because it is just recently made. So that's the second part that I see. Overall, non Ayodhya tourism also improving because of this. Because of the. Uh, I don't know if you've heard, there is people are now already selling what's called the Ramayan route. So everything from Ayodhya right down to Rameshwaram or wherever they crossed over into Lanka. So all the places they stop, there are like resorts coming up all over, and that has been going on for a few years. By the way, it's not
Yes.
immediately because of the temple, but I think that will all improve. And things not related directly to Ram, but to other religious things that will improve. In fact, our headroom, our absolute headroom, if you think we have to compare ourselves with Mecca and Vatican, and I think the potential is 10 times Mecca and Vatican combined.
Very well said, Mix. I think the title should be "The Potential is 10 times Mecca and Vatican combined." Chow, what's your opinion about Ayodhya? You're there in Bangalore. You're in India. What are you feeling?
So I think a lot of the economic part Mix has covered earlier. And one of the things which, at least socially, has been happening is more upbeat nature, especially among the Hindu community that you see. Everyone is excited. There were one of my batchmates, school seniors, is living out of Ayodhya, and he keeps reporting from ground the sea change that he has seen for the last 1 year, especially when the inauguration date announced and everything started getting made at such a fast pace. So we do expect a lot of religious tourism occurring because of that, and as Meg said, not just to Ayodhya but also to other locations. So would be exciting to see how that emerges. Indians are traveling; they are among the most prolific travelers these days globally, and the government has been pushing for more local travel. You would have, I don't know if you heard the news, but the Prime Minister called out for people to have their destination weddings in India instead of going to Europe or other exotic places for weddings, right? So those are again smaller things in the entire scheme of things to get people to spend their money within the country. And people in India, I feel, and even us, for example, we recently traveled to Uttarakhand, we went to Badrinath ji and so on. It's like one of the must do's you have to do at some point in your life, right? So adding one more major destination which has a good connectivity really, really helps.
Have you felt any religious tensions in India, Chow?
Not in the recent days, actually. I think it has calmed down a lot. And I believe part of it is, again, because development is not being seen as one sided for one community or anything. So there are certain states which have done that. So Rajasthan some time back had, and that's one of the reasons the government changed in the state, is because they were seen as overly fond of one community, and it was just too visible and not appreciated. But at a central government level, it has been kind of uniform, non-religious overtones in most development activities, and I think that has really helped.
Okay, so I have a request to the people at the Prime Minister's office who will be listening to this podcast, that I think India has done something good by bringing people like Rajat Raman, the economist from the US who came and was our governor, by bringing people like Nandan Nilekani, who did a lot of IT projects in India.
Ram Rajan, I think you mean.
Oh, Raghu Ram Rajan, okay.
I'll be honest. I've lost all respect for a person who I now consider a joker. But yeah,
Why is that,
but
Mix?
that's just me. That's
Sure.
just me. I mean, he's so
Yeah.
politically
Yes.
exposed that he keeps like belittling India all through. I had a huge respect for him until he was the RBI governor, but then when he just didn't get renewed, after that he just went mad. If you hear him now,
Yeah, I did hear some of his interviews, and I did seem that he had political ambitions which may not be appropriate. So let me
in
start this.
2013 and 14, when he was the RBI governor, Vix, this is what I feel. I think he thought he was the next Manmohan Singh.
Yeah,
He'll be placed as the prime minister,
yeah,
just like Manmohan Singh, and someone else will rule. But then
yeah.
things changed in India.
Yeah. So I hope the people in Prime Minister's office who are listening to our podcast, that they understand that, like Mix very correctly said, this can be bigger than Mecca and Vatican combined. And to deliver that, what you need to do is you need to bring in someone from IIM this time. And I would actually volunteer Miggs for that job, because with his branding skills and with his 25 years of experience worldwide, or people like Miggs who can come in, give this guy a budget and give him the phone number to the Prime Minister's office and tell him that when you're facing a hurdle to get a road built, to get a hotel built, or to get an airport built on time, you can call the Prime Minister's office and we'll move that along. And I think I did some research in VAT and Mecca. Foreign money that comes into Mecca due to the foreign money that comes into Saudi Arabia due to Mecca tourism is approximately $30 billion. And Vatican, I visited Vatican myself, and I think the whole economy in and around Vatican is just so focused on religious tourism for Christians. And I think Ayodhya, with the right approach, and the right approach cannot be Prime Minister's office trying to do it through IAS offices. The right approach has to be get someone from IIM, get someone with international experience, and give him a great bonus structure. Pay him $1 million a year, and then also tell him he'll get 1% of the revenue that that India gets through Ayodhya tourism, and then let's see the magic happen. I think with the right leadership, within 10 years, Ayodhya can be bringing in more than Mecca and can be equaling Vatican in the amount of economic investment that it brings in. And I hope I'm able to, yeah, I hope I'm able to convey this. I hope I'm able to convey this, that incentives have superpowers. Incentives have superpowers. So please don't give it to an IS officer on an IS officer salary. Our economy has invested so much, our society has invested so much into IIMs. Get a graduate with international experience from A, B, or C, and then give them a great compensation
I think
package.
I'm sure there is a huge pool of talent within the IAS who are ex IIMs also. I think that
Okay.
has built over many years. So maybe that
Yeah.
might be the right choice.
No, but you
But coming
also need
back on
international
Vatican,
experience. I'm uncomfortable. I've worked with some IS officers in India, and I shouldn't talk in detail about my experiences because next time I may not be allowed to enter the Delhi airport anymore. But I think there's value to international exposure and international experience. So get someone with the business experience, with the national experience, give them a phone number at the PMO's office to call, and give them a target that in 10 years you have to do better than Vatican and Mecca combined 10 times. And I think that's possible.
yeah, and see, when we compare it to Vatican, think about it. No one goes, or very few people go only to visit the Vatican. When they visit
Yeah.
the Vatican, they visit not just the rest of Rome.
Yeah.
They probably visit Milan or Venice
Yes.
or something else also. It's similar to when people come to Delhi, they visit Agra. People are coming for the Taj Mahal. They'll stay in Delhi, then Agra, then also do Jaipur. You know, it's called the Golden Triangle
Yes.
since I was a kid, because
Yeah.
that's what all these foreign tourists used to do: Delhi, Jaipur, Agra.
Yeah.
So see
Yeah.
some
Yeah. Yeah.
palaces, see the Taj Mahal, have a bit of metro in Delhi, and then I mean there are so many examples of it. I don't know about whether Mecca is has anything like that. I doubt whether people go to Mecca and then do Riyadh and all that of tourism. Uh, but maybe that's an exception. I mean, there are so many other places that people, if they're traveling all the way, they'll see five other things. They'll stay for a few extra days because you're going there. You might as well, and then they will also see more of India. They will get more of that culture. There are
Yeah.
so many people who
Yeah.
have never come to India,
Yeah.
and I'm not even talking about non-Indians. I'm talking about second, third generation Indians who've not come to
Yeah.
India.
And
It
I
would be a
think
good thing for people like that.
when I travel with my family, it's not only about the place where I'm visiting, it's also about the airport that I can get into. It's about, okay, once I get off the airport, will I get an Uber to get to the hotel? What will be the quality of the hotel? In India, like, will there be toilet paper in the hotel? Will there be, what kind of food would be available? So it's a lot of surrounding things that somebody has to get right. And
Yes.
but I was saying I have a lot of respect for Prime Minister Modi because I think he is street smart. He understands. He's not bookish. He's not bureaucratic. We can find a lot of faults in him, but he can read the room. He understands economics. He understands incentives, and I think and I hope that Ayodhya in my lifetime can be as vibrant as the Vatican. And I think it can happen if you give the right incentive, and if you hire the right person to be the CEO of that project. And
Now that you mention Modi, and I know we're just slotting, but I mean he's a good Jew. So before any of us are discussing the commercial aspect, I am sure that a few years ago he's already thought about the dando. कि कहाँ से आएगा और क्या economic वो होगा. It's of course there is that people's faith and everything, and there are political aspects to the temple. But there's also a huge economic aspect, which I wouldn't put it
There's a
that he's
huge
already
economic
thought about
aspect,
this
yes.
5 years ago.
yes,
About
no, I'm
ये
sure.
होगा फिर ऐसा
Yeah,
होगा और इसका होगा, and some of these things we are talking about it now, that we are seeing that huge mandir, now that we are seeing that airport is there, and it's an international airport. It's not a domestic airport, by the way. Of course, the flights have just started, but I bet there will be a connection from at least main metros like London and so on. There will
Yes.
be. I
Yeah.
hope so. Uh, but think about it. वो जो एयरपोर्ट बना है, वो जो इतना ह्यूज रेलवे स्टेशन, आई डोंट नो इफ यू seen those videos, that railway
No, I
station is
haven't.
something out of the world. Of course they built it from
Okay.
scratch. अब किसी ने 5 साल पहले सोचा होगा ना, ये रातों रात तो नहीं बन जाता ये एयरपोर्ट और रेलवे स्टेशन और वो
Sure.
things like
Yeah.
that. So someone has already thought about it, and that makes me very
Yeah.
optimistic that we are
Yeah.
not the only people thinking about. We are now trying to calculate कि और क्या हो सकता है इसमें, और क्या हो सकता है जो किसी और ने ना सोचा हो, जो एक IIM
Yes.
का बंदा बना सकता है.
Yes.
But I'm quite glad कि a lot of things जो 20 years ago जो इंडिया में लोग सोचते नहीं थे, which is where you're saying कि IAS बाबू नहीं सोचता था और
हाँ.
पॉलिटिशियंस नहीं सोचते थे. I have a feeling पिछले 5-10 साल में सोच रहे हैं,
Yeah. Yeah. And
ऑलरेडी
that's-
सोच रहे हैं कि यार
the
इससे ये
interactions
होगा, ये
I've
धंधा
had.
होगा.
I have interacted with IAS officers at different levels. A number of my batchmates are also in IAS at different levels. The level of thinking is outstanding. I mean, I don't know, Vix, what has been your experiences, but whatever I have seen, they are trained so well to
Okay.
do very diverse jobs,
Hmm.
handle anything. They keep getting upskilled periodically,
Hmm.
and they keep getting, a lot of them, the promising ones, get international stints and so on to do. And it's just amazing the kind of capabilities they have. With the right political support for them in terms of not blocking what they can do, they can really make tons of things happen on ground.
Sure. No, I think I think we have to accept that it's the top brain that India produces. I think IAS it still attracts the top brain that India produces. So and I have a lot of respect for their intellect. But I think there's something that bureaucracy does. I think there's something working in a government environment does, which is very different than working in a capitalistic environment. And I think that's where, if IIM graduate is chosen to make this dream come true, because they're also the top brains and because they have lived in a capitalistic environment, they might be able to do things a little bit different than, you put two brains, one in a bureaucratic environment for 25 years, one in a capitalistic environment for 25 years. I think the capitalism teaches you lessons that, and I think bureaucracy has too many cushions built around you, and it also has a very
But Dix,
different.
let me challenge you on
risk-taking
that.
approach. Go ahead.
Let me challenge you. I mean, if we are saying that, okay, the IS brain versus the IM brain, they're both good brains. They're the top of the
Yes.
the creme de la creme of India.
Yes.
बट आप अगर IM ब्रेन को भी उसी ब्यूरोक्रेसी में डाल दोगे तो
Yeah.
output
So
तो
it
वही
would,
होगा ना.
yeah, absolutely.
And,
So
and now and now see, the thing is that you cannot make it non-bureaucratic, and the reason you cannot make it non-bureaucratic, or I'm using bureaucracy as not a negative or a positive. I'm
Sure,
talking about
sure.
it in
government
plain
has
vanilla,
to
it
move
is a
slow.
system.
Yes, you cannot have a
It
government
doesn't
with so
have
much
to,
power.
bureaucracy doesn't have to be slow. I know it comes to be a synonym of slow and all that. Bureaucracy
Yeah,
is
yeah.
org structure. Let's call it org structure for
Yes.
what's called org structure, organization structure in commercial enterprises is called
Yeah.
bureaucracy in government enterprises.
Yeah.
Right. And it's come to have a different meaning because of various reasons historically, but it is what it is. So unless you change that system, the any brain, whether it's IM or any other brain, will behave in a similar way. And
I agree.
then the question arises, how much of a system can you change? And this is where I would challenge you. I don't have an answer, but my question is that if public money is spent anywhere, the number of checks and balances, which are the reason why a lot of things get slowed down. The checks and
Yes.
balances in that public money being
Yes.
spent. Now, when a company spends money, it is not public money, it is not taxpayer money.
Yes.
So you can take away the checks and balances that are not efficient.
Yeah.
But whenever there is taxpayer money, whenever there is government spending, those checks and balances have to be there, even if anyone argues that many of those are not efficient. And
Yeah.
so be it. If it's not efficient, it's not efficient, but we have to do it, or they have to do it, or whichever government has to do it. Otherwise, कहीं से कोई उठ के एक PIL डालेगा, वो ये आपका वो दिल्ली में 2-3 बैठे हुए हैं, बस वो बेसिकली सुबह से शाम तक बस PIL डालते हैं,
Yes. No,
right?
I agree that we need checks and balances when public money is spent. That is very different than when private enterprise spends its money. Uh, I also agree that I have a big philosophy in life that when you have too much power, you have to move slow. You cannot allow someone or an enterprise with too much power, like the military, to move too fast, because with too much power, you can cause a lot of damages. And but private enterprise can't cause the same amount of damage that the central government or the military or the air force can cause, right? But and then that's why the the RBI, the military, they have to move slow. But you have to have checks and balances that you're not causing that damage. But for a project like making Ayodhya like Vatican, like, I'd be so happy if my daughter, who is 7 years old now, by the time she's 15 or 16, she says कि पापा सैन फ्रांसिस्को से अयोध्या की फ्लाइट हुई है, ये समर हम लोग 2 वीक अयोध्या जाके आएंगे. And that's a dream that's possible. And I feel like we need someone who is marinated in capitalism with international exposure to make that dream come true. I would be sad.
Yeah. So one of the things which has happened in the recent past, I don't know if you guys are aware, is this need has been felt at the government level also, to bring in bright people from the industry who have worked. And there was a scheme which came out some time back. They're basically hiring at a joint secretary level directly from industry. So joint secretary is a fairly senior position which you grow into as an IAS. And the intent was bring in laterals into that role. Obviously, you need to train them into how to get things done in the government because of the entire system which exists. But a lot of fresh thinking, fresh blood can come into that. And it's been kind of one of the very sought after jobs for people who have worked in pure capitalistic organizations, and they're like, okay, there's so much more that I can do, but I can do only this much in the scheme of things within the organization. And then
That's
they,
amazing. I hadn't expect that in India that will happen. It happens very regularly in the UK. So I'm sure both of you kind of know the Indian bureaucracy or the government structure is based on the UK system. So there aren't too many differences, except after independence, UK has also improved or evolved their own system, and India has evolved. So some differences have crept up, but otherwise, it's quite as similar as anything can be. Now in the UK, civil services, they take at all levels, they hire outside. And one reason is, unlike India, where there is this huge competition of talent right at the IAS exam stage and going up, in the UK, my understanding is there isn't. So they need talent. They need talent. And that's also, but that has improved some things because they are taking. So regularly you'll see the Department of Business hiring at director level, senior director level, and all that, which is like secretary level and junior secretary from industry.
That's very
and
good.
and there is a lot of cross pollination out here. But I mean, the other reason is I don't know if you've heard in Indian media or US media, but out here it was a big thing that recently, I think the army or was it the navy were looking for submarine staff or some skilled submarine staff, and they had to put the job opening on LinkedIn, which was a bit hilarious. कि मतलब इतने स्पेशल टेक्निकल स्किल बट इट्स आल्सो शो डेस्परेशन कि उनके पास है ही नहीं लोग यार इस स्किल के लिए लिंक्डइन पे डाल रहे हैं.
So I think in this episode, the Baddies got together and we talked about the new technology that we expect in 2024. We talked about Ayodhya. We talked about the aspirational dream of people like Megs in London and me here in Silicon Valley that our kids will want to go back to Ayodhya. And we talked about some ways in which the government can make that happen. And we got very interesting perspective from Chow on how the government is actually taking steps to make it happen. So really great episode. And we wanted to end with a challenge. Mix has bet £1,000 that we'll be at 1 million subscribers by the end of this year. And if we don't get that 1 million subscribers, then he's going to send £1,000 check to Ayodhya Ram Temple, okay? And he's going to put the check online for us all to see. So it's going to be an interesting year for us. And I think we have seen some success on YouTube. We are up to almost over 80 subscribers now. So I don't know if you guys are liking it or not, but we are definitely liking making these episodes. So thank you very much.
मंगल भवन अमंगल हारी द्रवहु सुदशरथ अजर बिहारी.